Today is January 2nd, and we're going to talk Yankees baseball. Is the offense better? Is it worse? Are they going to get another bat? Goldy speaks. Talk Yanks. With old John Boy, Jake.
Recaps galore, weekly awards, stat lines, theme, and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time for Talkin' Yanks. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us. The first episode of the year 2025. No one's really saying it like that anymore at all, huh? 2025 is one out. How are you, Jake?
James, Davis, everyone tuning in. I'm doing well. Happy New Year's. A long holiday New Year's time period this year. Double Wednesdays, right? Is it a week apart?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a lot, and it feels like it's still rolling. I mean, just between bowl games and now it's a Thursday, so like this weekend's kind of attached. So some people don't really start till next week. But I'm good, and I'm excited to talk some Yanks. You know?
Yeah, I left my house after 6 o'clock this morning.
Right.
Which usually means I cannot drive.
Right.
Traffic will be awful. 25 minutes.
Yeah.
No one. I was like, oh, yeah, this is still kind of like a no day.
The world's just extended everything. Like
It's
Thursday,
too long.
Friday,
It's too long.
let's extend it.
It's too long. Too long without Yankees talk.
Monday the 23rd was December. And it was
December.
like, well, let's just put that on Christmas. So it was a long one. Hope everyone's refreshed. And yeah, I'm excited. Like, you know, they keep popping up with that stat like opening day because opening day's early now.
The earliest opening day in the history of the game.
They just do opening days in March now, which is kind of
Yeah,
cool. So it's
March 27th. I texted you guys. I was doing schedule
less than
watch
3 months.
because yesterday, Katie, at
schedule
night,
watch.
Sunday night, I start prepping for like what I'm going to edit Monday mornings after we put the kids to bed, and Katie gets out the calendar and stuff. Usually, it's like mapping out the next week. This was mapping out the year. She's like, "When should we go on vacation?" I was like, "Oh my god, I can't.
yeah.
I can't do this with you right
I
now.
know.
I'm sorry."
Let's wait till next week. That's what
so-
people are doing.
She had me looking at the Yankees schedule.
Right.
And what did I text you guys? 14 out of the first 18 games are against the NL.
I think it was tighter. I think you said like 12 out of 14 or something.
It's kind of wild.
It was hot to trot. And I feel like they did some of that last year, and we kind of liked it because you have the excitement of the start of the season.
15 of the first 18 games are against National League teams for the Yanks. And they open up in New York, March 27th. My mom was like, that's going to be freezing.
Could be bad.
It could be like a snow, which is pretty, but that's not. And Arizona has to come play in the Bronx
Right.
March.
Yeah.
Both of because Milwaukee's a dome, right? So
Yeah.
in theory, not as bad that time.
It's like, what are we doing? Crazy. Anyway,
then Yanks go Pittsburgh, Detroit.
Warm.
Detroit's the 3.
Detroit's cold.
So it's a dude. So, I mean, we'll remember this. It's going to be a dormant offense.
Right.
Do they find warm weather? When do the Yanks find warm weather in April?
They get at Tampa April 17th.
Well, that's going to be their own spring training facility.
and it's
So that's
at,
nice.
Yes, warm.
Home game.
And but then they go to Cleveland, so that's cold. Home against Toronto, cold.
They're going to be so miz.
At Baltimore, end of April. That's
Could
still
be
cold.
nice, maybe.
Nicer than here, but that's by fractions. It's a while till they're like going to be firmly warm.
Yeah. Well, there's some schedule watch. Goldy does his press conference today,
Yeah.
so they're going to ask him questions.
Today at 11 on the Gotham Sports app.
I think
we need a better.
Maybe one.
We need a better litmus of or conditions for what deserves like a press conference. Because a
Like,
1 year deal doesn't do it for me. Like Max Fried, I was interested. I wanted to tune in, hear what he had to say. It's
Right.
8 years. This guy's going to be a Yanks. Introduce yourself.
It's a first date.
Yeah.
Hey,
do we know if this one is like getting the full thing, or if it's like the same as like Devin Williams, Cody Bellinger, like Zoom?
I think it's.
I have no
I
idea.
don't
Okay.
know if it's in person.
Like I'm guessing it's because they called it immediate availability, not like press conference. So I'm
I'm
guessing
hoping
that's
he's a
the
dud,
difference in their head.
personality-wise. I say that with respect. Like,
All
from
goals-
everything I know about him, he is,
1 p.m. via Zoom. So they're
Right.
not doing the whole
It's the same as what they did with Devin Williams.
Uncle
a month
Randy
ago.
Levine.
okay. All right. Where are you
Just
at,
a
Jake?
Zoom. Just a
The last
Zoomer.
time we talked, I was coming
Right.
to you from a ShopRite parking lot.
Right.
And we had dreamed ourselves up that, like, what if they went and got like a Bregman or an Arenado or a third baseman?
Right.
And we didn't think it was going to happen, but we were
Right.
like, well, that would be awesome just to be like, we got all these MVPs and Gold Glovers and all of that. After that conversation, Jack Curry and everyone else laid out pretty hard. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me it's funny that we are now in the waiting part of the offseason, which doesn't mean there's not going to be other stuff getting done, but it's not getting done on any timeline. Like the Yankees, when we originally looked at the first baseman, we knew Goldy was one of them. And I think we're going to talk about how the first base kind of sorted out and what we would have viewed differently or liked more. Do we love where Goldy landed? That, like the Yankees did their part of this offseason that they wanted to get done after Soto. They clearly had an alternate Soto plan. Max Fried, boom. The great Goldino.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're calling him?
God Goldie.
Gold God?
Goldie.
Okay.
P. Gold.
And Cody Bellinger, which
What's his middle name?
had been one of the biggest Yankees rumors for a couple years now, that was their plan. I just think there's two ways that it can go, and I'm worried that with how weak the American League is, we know the Yankees don't value going and get it for a whole 162. That the Yankees are still the favorites in the AL right now.
Well, yeah, the AL isn't really that good.
So if you're talking Yankees and money, like I still think the Stroman trade is going to happen because we had that in both our preseason plans. And, Joe's McFly was getting panicky because that guy's just an old,
Mm-hmm.
He's losing it. He's losing it.
He is panic.
He's losing
He's kind of losing it.
That myself. He was texting last night and he was like, are we kind of blowing smoke up our bums that the Yankees can trade Stroman? Because, the ERA was one of his worst in a while. He is getting older. The stuff's obviously not as electric as it once was. I mean, there was games Stroman was throwing 88, 89 with his fastball that I still think there's a Stroman market out there. It's funny. There was some, I don't know if you saw, there were some tweets and grams going on about how bad the Yankees were defensively, especially with Stroman, which you kind of started leading. It's some of the numbers are crazy. It's a negative 16 OAA in Stroman starts, and
I think,
It's
I
like
probably
they
used
played
my
worse
tweet. I did a
for
lot of
him.
research on
Yeah,
that.
you put together
individually.
a full montage that it was like, actually, I think Marcus Stroman with a good defensive team last year would have been a good version of Marcus Stroman. Like, so the Gleyber stuff is insane. So for the money that starting pitchers get, I think there's a Stroman dump out there. It just is what it is.
They have to dump him.
Because that brings them below the threshold. And right now, he wouldn't be in the rotation. So it's like, what are we doing?
You can't have a guy on the books making $18 million to not be a top 5 starter. So you got to get anyone to eat some of that, get anything back. Because, they got Poteet and then traded Poteet, and he was the 6th starter last year for whatever.
We currently don't
Couple
have
mil.
we currently don't have a lefty in the bullpen. So, like, there's going to be work there, and maybe it's even involved in a Stroman trade or whatever it is. And I don't know. I do think they're going to make another move. Beebs, I know you mentioned in the chat, and it was something I was hot on kind of for years, is like a Yoan Moncada or something like that. As like, can he be a guy that catches the Yankees' juice? And if he doesn't, we can actually move on. I don't know. I don't see them doing the big move. They absolutely can. And like, if we're the Yankees and you're trying to keep up with the Dodgers, who have flown past the luxury tax threshold, or, if Hal is still pissy at the Mets and like a Bregman market doesn't come together, or there is something else that works out, like, it's kind of just closing the loop that if you go on Fangraphs and you look at the Yankees lineup right now, it would just feel so much better with one more body.
Yeah.
You know, like the bottom of the lineup of like Volpe, Dominguez, Waldo is the bottom right now.
Yeah.
You can, with one injury and one slump, you now could have a thin second half of the lineup. And I don't know. I just hope the Yankees aren't looking at it like, well, the AL's weak. Let's just roll it out there, and then we'll trade at the deadline, which you can do, and if you do it right, fine. But I don't know.
There's just not a lot available.
Games matter.
Like, there's not a lot of people out there to go get via free agency.
The free agent market's pretty thin. There's, in theory, a lot of guys that could be had in a trade, depending on values and all that, and we're planning to dive into all of those on Tuesday's episode, but there's
Josh Rojas just comes off the board.
Yes.
So where are you at?
Man, I like the offseason as much as you can like an offseason where they lost out on Soto.
Sure.
Like a decent amount. I've poked my head into the social media sphere, which I try not to do that much anymore because it's gotten more and more not real.
Yes.
And people are so mad. Like it's just, and I get it, but it's all sorts of misinformation that's like bumming me out. Like I made one video where I was like, guys, the Yanks aren't old. Like they have old players too.
Right.
But they have more young players than they've ever had probably in the history of us doing Talkin' Yanks.
Last year they were among the youngest teams.
I guess the 2023 bad team came in with a lineup that was young and had a lot of holes in it. That was one of the big concerns.
2023.
Remember the year, I think we have the newspaper article that was like, well, the Yanks, a lot of question marks in their lineup. Like, is Waldo's going to start? And
no, that team was kind of old. Volpe was the only one under 25. Oswaldo and Volpe.
Yeah.
Like,
the Yankees
there's
having
always
two
been more
guys.
players in their 30s than their 20s until this year. And I actually want them to go get another guy that could be like in their late 20s or 30s and up the age. But Goldy's old, Stan's old, Judge is 32. That's over 30, but it's not like into the worry years yet. I mean,
You can't slap the old label on him,
and
but he's
Judge,
not.
and
young.
Judge is not a problem. So anyway, like it's just been just a sea of like anger on the internet.
And there's people that like really don't like the Goldy move specifically.
there's people that
But that can be said about any move.
there's people out there that don't like the Mets in a genuine way, so they're gonna feel broken about Soto going to the Mets. So the Yankees, for them, they can't be fixed, and the internet's
Not
a
getting
place to
Soto
be
sucks, but I really like probably my favorite offseason after not getting Soto. Like if we went into this thinking Soto wasn't a possibility or whatever, and just the moves they're making since like 2009, I was trying to rack where I liked multiple moves because all the last couple of years they made like one move that we loved, and then we went into spring training like,
Why didn't they do
dude,
more?
you need three more. Like, what is this? You need three more pieces. But fixing up the defense, getting people to the right positions.
I think last year we liked it. I mean, Juan Soto, Verdugo felt like the missing fit defensively contact lefty, and even Stroman as like a stabilizing person in the rotation. We liked that offseason.
We like that. We
But
thought
it was also a pretty good season compared to
yes.
a lot of the past
No,
years.
that's probably up there as well.
Right.
But I mean, it was like we had like, what positions are these guys going to play?
Right.
Was a topic. So what's the batting order going to be? And they didn't figure that out for a long time. Last year's team is very interesting to look at, which I have. So like all this led me to like want to put together numbers and just see what we're looking at, because I see people making the argument that we're deeper this year than we were last year, but we're clearly not one person or even two people combined is replacing what Soto did.
Right.
But then what's better, to be really top heavy or to be balanced throughout? So you can put flaws into this assignment, obviously, because it's baseball stats, so you can talk about them any which way. But I thought I was just curious. So I sent you guys this image. BBD's got it up. And I did just the slash line of 2024 stats. And the top one is the most commonly used players: Torres, Soto, Judge, Wells, Stanton, Jazz, Rizzo, Volpe, Verdugo. And then underneath, I put Jazz, Judge, Belly, Stanton, Wells, Goldy, and then that bottom that you talked about, Dominguez, Volpe, Cabrera. I was like surprised that the slugging is the same. It's less at bats on the bottom, but the slugging stays exactly the same. The batting average is basically the same. It's 258 batting average for the guys that were on the team and 257 for the guys that are currently on the team. On base percentage comes down by 12 points. Slugging is exactly the same, 455. OPS is 801 to 788. And the realization that I had was, one, Soto was very, very good and carried a ton. Rizzo and Verdugo were awful. Awful. And like shedding them and replacing them with anybody makes them deeper and better. So I have, then I was like, all right, let's look at this. If you look at those guys from last year, all the slash lines there, green means they were above average batters in that slash line, and red means they were not. Go to the top one, Beebs, the other one. So last year, the bottom three, Rizzo, Volpe, Verdugo, were below average in every aspect of offense, slash line wise.
Right.
Like they were really light. And then Gleyber was bringing no pop. And then if you go to this year, what's projected, it's you get a little more. It's a very tiny bit more. What I came away from, if they did get an above average third baseman to replace Cabrera, you could make the argument that we don't have as much pop up top, but we are way more balanced and like throughout.
Becomes a lot
less
more
dead
real
spots.
discussion.
Yeah, I guess the thing, and I was thinking about this because this was funny, that original stat line you sent. It is like kind of a head tilt moment, and it's a reminder that Verdugo ended up being historically bad offensively, but we just kept slotting him out there because the Yankees thought it would click, and then we had the whole Dominguez couldn't catch fly balls. First base and how much of a hole that became is crazy. It's crazy, and like again, I say this scared, and it's where some people, if you want to be a little afeared or not excited about Goldschmidt being a true old, Yankee fans can have that. Like, you can feel that way. I mean, there's some Goldy numbers that are nice there. I've talked about the ideally not playing every day, and he still mashed lefties, and he had a big second half. I guess my thing that's scary, and it's one of the thought process we've had, that again, it should be exciting. Like, Gleyber didn't have a good full year last year. Never mind when you get to defensively. Gleyber was just a really nice second half, which carried into the postseason, and hey, that's what matters. The first base thing has to be better. I mean, nuts.
Yeah, they were below average. Beeb just had the graphic up. At
crazy.
First base, they were below average in every slash line. And on the bottom is how below average they were.
I
It's
guess
30 points in
Offensive position.
I guess my thing with
crazy.
looking at the OPS and on base percentage in it is that with how good Soto was versus righties, like Goldy was good versus lefties. Bellinger's slugging was higher versus lefties. So that's I think those numbers, if they were broke out to righty versus lefty a little more, that would make us have a lot more concern looking at the lineup as a whole.
But there's percentages in there as well. Like on the whole, if it's less lefties, it's not gonna change their slash line that much. Their total slash line.
Yeah, I mean, what Juan Soto did against right-handed pitching compared to now Goldschmidt, and Belly, it is significant.
I'm just saying Goldy and Belly's slash lines as a whole aren't gonna get. You can't dominate lefties and it change your year numbers that much if you're an everyday player, because you don't face
for
them.
Goldy, it did.
You don't face that many lefties. He was awful versus righties.
Goldschmidt, I'll get the splits up. Paul Goldschmidt last year against righties was 230, 280, 675 OPS. Against lefties, 295, 366, 839 OPS. So that's
but I'm saying, his year numbers are still not great.
I mean, they're right around league average, which
In the
again,
second half, was he
so
Second half
he
was
was
better.
good.
against both or just left? Like, did he just see more lefties? Because then I'd be worrisome about his second
I believe he stabilized versus righties in the second half as well. I haven't fully crunched the numbers, but they didn't start like platooning him.
half. Yeah. I'd be interested if he just saw more lefties. Then I'd be like, well, are these numbers
Well,
a sham?
on the whole, he got better. But yeah, I guess that's just that's still the concern was lefty pop. Because again, Belly could be that guy, and so could Jazz with a full season at the stadium that can be made up for. But yeah, that it would be my concern that the Yankees feel significantly different against right-handed starting pitching.
Yeah. That would suck. You faced way more righties than lefties.
Right.
But I wasn't trying to draw any conclusions or persuade anyone. I was like, for my own sake, just trying to look.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, the slugging. And just the big thing that I think no one's really talking about is, because everyone's like, you're losing Gleyber and you're losing Soto, which is very true.
Right.
Rizzo and Verdugo were just nothing last year.
Nothing. Negative
players.
Very
And Volpe was below average in every offensive slash line as well.
Right.
So they were so thin last year.
Yes. And I guess it's part of my worry with Judge and Soto being as strong of staples in a lineup as you could possibly have. Like historically lefty righty, as good as you can have in a lineup, that when the season happens, whether it's Stanton's banged up or, this is going to be a massive year for Volpe. Like we haven't fully talked about that yet, but like everything's kind of out the window. Like it's Volpe's go year, like before he starts getting like kind of paid and like, what can you be offensively as a 24? Like things start getting real for him. What does Austin Wells' year look like? Like Dominguez is a rookie that even if Jason Dominguez, a good version of Jason Dominguez is what? If his OPS lands at 780, that would be a really nice. Right. But I guess this is what I'm saying. He's going to be 22. If Jason Dominguez has a 780 OPS next year, that's like really good.
That like is a win.
You know what I'm saying?
I need him to be a stud.
I would love that. And that would actually solve a lot of the Yankees' problems, so I'm in on that.
But the offensively,
right.
The other argument then goes to, if they take a downgrade offensively, if they get more balanced throughout, deeper, but they don't have Soto, well, then did they improve every other aspect of their game? Pitching, bullpen, defense, base running. And the answers to those are yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like defensively, yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, teams tried to sign Gleyber not as a second baseman.
Right.
They said, and I tweeted this, and everyone's like, I don't understand what you're saying about Gleyber. Like, he's not a third baseman. That's a fucking point.
Right.
A team said, we know you've played second base your whole career, but we'll give you $10 million to play a new position we've never seen you played, because it's got to be better.
Can't be that.
That's how bad he was.
Yes.
And then base running, Gleyber was the worst base runner on the team. And you're talking about guys like Stanton and Rizzo, and Gleyber was worse than them statistically in like Fangraph's base running stat. So, and then as soon as right field's open, they're like, we're going to move Judge back there. Okay.
Right.
As soon as second base is open, we're going to move Jazz back there. Okay. You kind of constructed a terrible defensive unit last year.
Have they said Jazz at second yet?
I think they're keeping it open.
Reporter said that Boone's inclined to do it if it was to play out this way, and you'd have DJ Peraza as Waldo at third. That's like what the reporter said, which makes way more sense.
And if they're looking to add, in theory, there's more third basemen available, which would make signing Jazz to second easy. But they can do either, and they're keeping options open and all of that.
And then like a team gave Clay, the closer, our closer, money to not close.
Right.
It's like, okay, guys, you can't just shoehorn all this stuff in. And they acted like it was real. I said that all season. I was like, do you think Clay gets signed as a closer next year? I said that before he got removed as closer. I was like, because the only reason he's a closer because Chapman was bad and was fighting with the team. And then they just like killed themselves with confidence saying he's the best closer ever when he wasn't.
They wanted it to also be
And he got
a
signed
win.
as a starter.
And when they
Be nice to have guys in the right positions.
when they got Jazz, like it was like on that post game when they talked about it, like Jack Curry talked about how they were kind of leaning towards moving Gleyber to third and Jazz would play second. And
Gleyber
by the
didn't
very
want to.
next day, somebody talked to somebody, and the Yankees the rest of the year were hammering that Jazz is the best third baseman ever. And I liked what I saw from Jazz at third.
They saw him make like 2 plays, and they were like, Jazz third.
Well, Gleyber also wouldn't move.
Gleyber didn't want to play third.
Right.
Which we now know because teams offered him. He had offers to
So
play
the
third, and
defense-
went to the team that gave him second.
The defense is better.
The defense is better. But yeah,
Base running is better.
It's what is the lineup? Because I know this is another fun game around the office, and I don't know how many times we're gonna do this offseason, but the lineup construction's kind of crazy right now. You know, like we're not sure who's gonna lead off,
They don't have a leadoff hitter. It's going to be Jazz. Like right now, it's Jazz.
and that's again like I'm interested to see what that looks like as a full season as the Yankees. Is that electric? Is that the guy you want in front of Judge? You know, like. Even
No.
when Jazz is balling out, his OBP isn't crazy.
No, I don't like it. I'm just saying what I think they're going to
You
do.
know?
The team as is that is the most right answer.
But they do have the ability to spread righty-lefty out well right now, and the ability to spread speed and athleticism throughout really well right now. Again, you take third base and you just put someone different there. Like if they could lead off. The leadoff we're not solving. There's no one out there that solves that question.
Bregman.
You'd lead him off?
He did last year for a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't see a lot of pitches. But yeah.
If like the Donovan trade somehow happened, he's let off, but there's not rumors of that or anything. So
I liked India for that reason. He was like a guy that did leadoff and infield.
Bad defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to close the loop with a lefty reliever, probably a Stroman trade, and then you'd like to think another body offensively, but
I don't right now. I'm still don't think they will. I still think they're going to roll this. Say we're better in all aspects and
Catcher.
see what they need.
you got Alex Jackson as the backup catcher.
No, I mean whoever comes to camp, quadruple A guy they pick up. Like the Rays got Rortvet last year. They just search for a guy like that. I don't think that's a priority.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything's
will
a
get
priority
figured
at this
out.
point. I think they got their priorities done. I don't know. I'll be interested to see if they're at a winning spot. Like I think that should be the good thing. If they were to go out and add a veteran, whether it's on the level of Yoan Moncada to Bregman's market fell apart and they go for it, that's fantastic.
The Boris too.
If they said we're gonna let the Oswalds and DJ actually battle it out, I'd be half excited. Half. My problem with that is letting the Yankees decide that and not the people in play. Because like Oswaldo has earned opportunity. Peraza like half hasn't earned the opportunity, but if the world and the Yankees operated differently, he would have had more of an opportunity by now. And DJ, I mean, I understand with his contract that you're going to bring him back to camp and maybe he's actually feeling healthy for the first time in 2 years as a 37-year-old. Doesn't seem likely, but I get where they're at. So I don't know. Like nobody on the bench right now has options. If you bring in someone in, the guy that would be kicked down would be Oswaldo, which now we're in the root
Like,
cycle.
I see them doing that.
Right. Which, again, if they do that, they'll say it's going to sort out and someone's going to get hurt, which is very true, so I'd be okay with that too. So, I don't know. They're in a winning spot. They brought in a really good starting pitcher. They got everything you said, more athletic. They brought in 2 MVPs.
2 MVPs. You have me officially like scared about Goldy now, looking at his numbers. Like I was talking myself into that, and I reserve the right to change my mind.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to change anyone else's mind, but he's not good against righties, so that's who you play majority of the time.
Yeah.
So now you have me like not loving that.
And that's where the roster construction gets kind of weird. And like, I don't know. Who's going to be in front of Judge and who's going to be after Judge? And we don't really have great answers to that.
Yeah. And they're not going to get anyone. Like that's currently people we have.
Right.
I wouldn't.
Doesn't seem like 1, 3, or 4 hitter is going to be somebody added between now and opening day.
And that's, I don't know. I think Yankee fans have some right because, okay, let's say they're going to play hot hands or they're going to do the Yankee matchup thing, which kind of used to drive us nuts. I mean, that used to be one of your bigger Yankees. What are we doing? Guys like consistency. Right now, we don't know what the consistency should be. And like, I do think there's an underrated aspect of, I guess it's not underrated. Soto and Judge were so good, but it's just dumb. Having them being lefty-righty in the middle of the lineup, that's a game changer. There was games that they were just going to win. Your starting pitcher is not good enough to get them out 3 out of 6 times. That's a game changer. That commercial gets me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you.
Yeah. I'm trying to like he improved in the second half against righties and lefties. That much is true. And he faced them the same amount. 25% of the time he faced lefties. So it's not like in the second half he faced way more.
Right.
He just really improved against lefties. He had a 389 slugging against lefties in the first half. He bumped that up to 600 in the second. Against righties, in the first half, I mean, it's putrid.
Right.
It's 297 plate appearances with a 207 batting average, 263 on base, and 351. That's terrible. But the second half, 259, 297, 443.
It's a weird stat line.
It's a weird stat line. So he's got pop versus righties, but no, I don't know.
It's the Yankees rotation.
Wells, because they are lefty. Wells, Jazz, Martian, if they can hit righties.
Cody.
And Belly. Yeah, but you said Belly's the same?
He had a slightly better.
He doesn't have like big splits.
He's got funky splits. Like his against lefty, it's
like different approaches.
I think it's the
versus
Talkin
right versus
effect.
left.
I think lefty, he knows that guys are 2 pitches, so he just swings bigger because his OBP is down, but his slugging's up.
Okay.
On the whole, production is pretty similar.
That Mike Talkman reference you guys got was from a 2020 spring training live show we did, so you probably all got that.
Mm-hmm. Hokie was there too.
Subscribe.
Roosevelt's as well.
Yeah.
Damn. They're not going to add another good bat. I mean, unless like, is there any chance Boris is now just an utter joke of an agent and he has to do Matt Chapman-esque deals, Blake Snell-esque deals with Bregman and Alonso, and they take 2-year deals with opt-outs just because they're like, we'll retry again next year. Worked for Snell.
Worked for Chapman.
Yeah. And then they go grab Bregman. They're not going to grab Alonso, obviously.
It's just...
Did you see Curry's tweet?
If you're the Yankees, who are you keeping up with? If you're keeping up with the American League, you're done. And, like, again, maybe that's smart, and maybe that opens up something at the trade deadline, and one of the Yankees' prospects builds back up their value, or a prospect comes from nowhere that... who was our starting second baseman? Caleb Durbin.
Don't act like you forgot his name.
If you have a situation like that happen, again, I still have some Ben Rice hope, which when you're doing some lefty-righty stuff, I don't know if that happens at any point this year. If he hits like he did at AAA last year, like Ben Rice is a very legitimate prospect. That I don't know. I just wish if you're keeping up with the Dodgers and you're pissed at the Mets and you want to keep up with winning the offseason, you'd close the loop with another significant move. It's just, what is that? Where is that? And it's probably not happening, so don't get your hopes built up. But there's, that Giants trade BBD kind of brought up if they wanted Stroman because they play defense and it's a big park and
Pretty desperate for
they need a
innings.
fifth starter, that you can bring back a lefty reliever from them. There's a lot of ways they can finish off this offseason and we can be happy. I just think I don't know. The Dodgers should be the example right now, and look at the tone they're setting. They signed Conforto just for fun.
Yeah, and they have the have heavy top of the lineup, and then they also got carried at times by guys that were just above average down the stretch, which the Yankees didn't have.
And Trev on Talkin Baseball, Trevor Plouffe, former MLB third baseman, he was laughing that he's like, all these teams are talking about trading surplus. He's like, back in the day, we just called it depth. Your team was deep, and that was good. And guys got hurt, or guys went on slumps, and then you tapped into your depth. That, baseball's gone away with that, with the expanded kind of playoffs format. That, Andy Paez, who was a really solid rookie for the Dodgers last year, currently does not have a spot. James Outman, who was a really solid rookie the year before that, currently doesn't have a spot. So I don't know. If you're trying to keep up with them, you close the loop, and then, okay, let's say Bregman happens, and wow, these Yankees are the new Yankees, and blah, blah, blah. Not only are we playing defense, but we have a deep lineup. Then the lineup questions we're asking about, how do you set up the lineup? You don't care because you're going to figure it out. Hey, Alex Bregman, you've had a great MLB borderline Hall of Fame career. Why don't we try you at leadoff? Hey, Jazz, you're hot to trot right now. You're going to lead off. So I don't know. If they don't close the loop, the Yankees are the favorites in the AL right now. If they did, we'd be okay, screw the fifth inning. If you start the World Series at 10:22, you see the ball drop at midnight.
Keep them rolling.
I think.
What'd you say? Wait, I want to circle back on that.
Keep the memes rolling.
Keep the memes rolling. Right?
Harrison.
Should feel it.
I think genuinely it's gonna be they wait because they acted so quick on the 5 moves since Soto or whatever the number is. They're now gonna be in a holding pattern. If anything comes to them,
yeah.
And then if
laughing.
we get to February 1st and nothing like that happened, then Yohan Moncada, you have
I
1 year, $4 million. Congrats.
I saw Max Mann is still doing on Twitter waiting for the next move, and it's oh no. It could be silent till
a reliever can happen, but
it could be silent till Valentine's Day.
I think that they're going to dump Stroman in a Chase Headley where they send a reliever to a team. They get nothing in return to dump Stroman just to get the money off the books. And that's the move. And then we don't get anything else until spring training where maybe something smaller happens.
I could see that. But again, that could not happen till spring training, If a team, if the Yankees don't get the trade offer they want, they'll just wait it out, and then when the first starting pitcher gets hurt and a team needs depth, that's when they'll go.
Going back to offseason after 2018, Yankees announced at the end of season press conference, we have to trade Sonny Gray. He won't be here, and I don't think he got traded till 3 weeks before spring training. I think January 21st that trade went down. So. The fact it hasn't happened yet, I think we all are still pretty firmly believing the Stroman trade will happen, just because it's the easiest way to clear any money.
You'd assume, or there was a little bit of me that was pissy Yankees pitch Stroman with good defense, just to see how the stats play out.
The numbers will be better.
Was there a rumor, or was that something that they early on in the offseason called St. Louis up and said Arenado for Stroman swap with the money? And what I read was the Cardinals didn't even bring it to Arenado. They were we don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. The Arenado stuff never really.
Yeah.
Curry was pretty firm every step of the way since November. Yankees don't want to do that. I think Cardinals called and started a conversation. Yankees said, you'd have to take Stroman. And they were okay, we didn't think this was going to happen anyway, so bye.
Did you see Curry's tweet about why they're not interested in Bregman? His reason he gave in the tweet, which is just
I remember. I feel like he listed the stadium. 'Cause
Stadium
Bregman
dimensions.
doesn't.
Which
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
Been bad at the stadium, technically.
And then I looked up his numbers at Yankee Stadium, and they're like really bad, with a couple homers that were just like big pull.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, to pay big money for a guy that's on decline, and that you're not have a stadium that doesn't. How much did his swing get molded to? What's Minute
Right.
Maid's new name?
Oh, I'm blanking right now.
Dyken.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where what he had to do.
Right.
Product of his environment versus, and then is it too old now to change it? But
This
out of all
is-
the games where he has 90 plate, all the stadiums where he has 90 plate appearances or more, which is like 15 or so, all the AL points probably. Yankees is by far his worst slash line.
The counter to that I have, which is going to be on our doc for that Tuesday Infielders Options app. Bregman, like looking at like pull rates home and away and stuff, like he does change his approach stadium to stadium a little bit. Like I think if Yankee Stadium became his home, he would figure out an approach, but
Not happening anyway.
doesn't seem like it's happening for
dude.
many reasons.
What I see happening is like another guy like just a little more established than Cabrera, which like if Oswaldo gets a run this year doing it, then he would be the same level as the guys I'm talking about, like Iglesias or some of these guys that can play around the infield, and I've done it for 3 years now. That's like, which it doesn't excite me, but I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I guess the only caveat to that, which I think we can tie into kind of putting a bow on Goldy, because we've seen a lot of the first base market happen. Josh Naylor got traded from Cleveland to Arizona. Carlos Santana signed with Cleveland, and that's obvious. And then the one that's kind of has been my head tilt one is Nathaniel Lowe, early settler name, from Texas. He got traded from Texas to the Nationals. So the Texas Rangers, they traded for Jake Berger, who's probably going to play first base for them, and then they signed Jock Peterson. And Nathaniel Lowe is interesting because he's at the period of when you get traded now. That he was making $10 million, and I think
years left.
he has 2 years left. He got traded for a reliever, Robert Garcia, who's a lefty reliever, hasn't had a ton of success at the major league level, but they have full control of him. The Texas Rangers have him until 2030. So is there a move out there for a third baseman or second baseman that people aren't thinking about that is a player kind of starting to get paid? Because, dude, Nathaniel Lowe is really good.
How many?
His stats are so consistent, and, like, he's just a lefty first base hat.
How many years does he have?
2 years.
2.
So he's a free agent in 2027.
After the 2026 season.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So you
So,
want me to look for a third baseman?
so I wonder what's out there because, again, I think he's getting like $10 million that if you dump the Stroman money and you were able to find a trade of this ilk, that you're trading, a young pitcher with control, whether that's a Yogo or whether that's someone in the bullpen, like, I feel like that is the more believable move. Because, hey, and this is where I'm walking all over myself. In a way, is Waldo's deserved like an actual chance? And if it's funny that Peraza's competing with him and Old Man DJ, but I don't close the loop on this offseason.
There's only 3 guys that fit going to be a free agent in 2027 and on arbitration years or controlled years still. Santiago Espinal
Your guy.
from the Reds, Edmundo Sosa,
Your guy.
and Ramon
Defense.
Urias.
Be nice.
Yeah.
But it's not really a close the loop move.
Those
I
are
could
the-
see those things happening, but
If I just go infielders,
Eugenio Suarez, I think
get
this
some
is
second baseman.
his last year of his contract.
if you go infielders, you got Bohm, Lux, Andrew
On him
Vaughn, first base. India, he got traded. Lowe, he got traded. Dubon, Mauricio,
Boom.
Tyler Wade,
Ah.
lefty speed. Yeah, so it's just not, there's just not much. Like when you look at,
Not a lot of obvious,
no,
this is the one to do. We'll deep dive on all of them.
yeah. Yeah. Nathaniel Lowe. Bregman sucks at the stadium. How about that?
A lot of pressure, you know?
DJ and Stroman getting 33 mil. But that's what we're going to be saying fucking 2031. Judge and Max Fried making $71 million. Although DJ Stroman should have never got that deal was kind of weird. And DJ, it was, this is what we did, really.
Right. Yeah, that's I
Expected
think
these 2 years to...
I think you expected maybe one more year before the turn.
Yes. They expected at least one more than what they got.
Last year was the coin flip year, and it did not flip well.
Was he good before the injury? Was it, he got
2022, he was...
No, last year. Was it spring
Or
training? Maybe it was spring training.
2023 he had the good second half.
Judge had the as long as it's me, DJ Soto at the top, we'll be good. Didn't play out.
Was last year's DJ was like the stats in spring before he got hurt were very good? Let me check. I think they were.
Did he have a good spring?
No. That was 2023. 2023 had a really good spring.
I feel like it might have been like 20 last year. He like hit a double the last
He
year.
had half a
Like,
spring
okay.
last year. Damn, man.
Oh, he got hurt again.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember we watched.
Yeah, when we went. That was crazy. It was like the reports were like, he's moving. And we were like, no, he's not. We just saw it.
It was
We were moving more.
glorified stretching.
Come on, DJ.
Almost wasn't. Yeah.
It's fun to watch.
Starting pitching is nice. Go look at that.
It's in a good
Yeah.
spot.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I was with the money stuff because I think the tweet was that there was around 50 million in like fake dead money. I mean, it was DJ, it was Hicks. I think they might have thrown Stroman in as like bad value or something. I forget what it was. And they were taking like a shot at Cashman, and I was kind of like, I don't know, like shouldn't the Yankees should have a little dead money on their roster every year. Like that's almost like a Yankee tax of we did business to attack.
Yeah.
That left us a little bit.
If you're like,
on the back end.
yeah, if you're like upset about them not being the highest bidder for a guy ever.
I
like,
wanted to sign DJ.
Yeah.
He was killing it.
Dead money means you're going out and spending. You just don't want to be completely like limited. And they have done misallocation of money over these years. Always had the highest payroll. This isn't terrible. If they can get Stroman off, having
They're well below.
Hicks and DJ on is not like terrible in as far as dead money goes.
Fernando Cruz is here.
I haven't fully like watched all of his, but I'm very excited to. I did a little bit. The bullpen is good. You know,
a lefty, but
yeah, you get Tim Hill. Again, that's something that like you can get.
they can find
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Like
Halfway through.
the internet, and I think there's some actual like reporters and stuff that are, it's like a Chafin, Tim Hill waiting game.
Maybe
Which
both.
I don't know. Chafin on the Yanks. I love me some Chafin, but
Yeah.
and I think the last time we saw him, he got rocked. Was that Judge or someone who like he couldn't throw strikes and then he did and he just got demolished last year?
Yeah, I think he came in against the Yankees and
Had nothing.
I
Like,
think
no
did
offense.
I think it
Stanton
was,
and
like,
Judge
his
go
worst
back to
day
back,
of
or did it was August 11th, which is two of my cousins'
Right?
birthdays.
Happy
Wow.
birthday.
And Chafin came in. I think he was like protecting the lead, right?
Yes, but it was like,
No.
this is going to get blown.
It was 6-3. It was a close game. Second pitch, Soto homered. Chafin came in, and then he threw 3 pitches to Judge. He homered, and 6-3 became 8-3, and then he left.
Sorry.
It's all good because did Clay Holmes get the save? He got the save. Yeah. Clay Holmes came out, strikeout, walk, defensive indifference, walk, single to score a run, allowed steal, ground out. But that ground out was a fucking adventure. To Gleyber.
Huh.
Gleyber, man.
Happy
Congrats.
for him. Actually, dude, kind of not that happy for him. I wanted to be more happy for him. I like Gleyber as a kid and the player. He got less than what the qualifying offer would have been had the Yankees offered it, which I believe some people in our office were saying the Yankees should offer it. And I was like, he would 100% accept that. He would 100% accept that. He got offers to play positions he'd never played. Dude. Hopefully he works on his defense. They had all those reports that Soto was so bad in San Diego on his defense, and he realized it. Not that Soto was great last year, but he was better than San Diego.
Early in the year, it felt like he was better.
Who knows the full relationship between Gleyber and the Yankees? And Hoke, write the damn book, and Jimmy will read it, and I'll get some tasteful notes along the way. But, the Yankees did Gleyber a disservice. I know, him never having played third base is insane.
He played it in 2017. He was going to come up and replace Headley as the third baseman, but then he needed Tommy John.
Him never playing third base is insane.
And then they wanted him to play it, but he didn't.
And then just kind of part of the environment of being the Yankees. I don't know. It was absurd that, hey, I'm guessing Gleyber probably got 2 years offers that were 2 years, 25. And he was like, hey, I'll do a 1 year, 15. He's going to be one of the best Tigers hitters. It's a scary ballpark for him. But he's also hit there. He's had good hitting numbers there. And I always felt he hit nukes there.
Are him and Baez up the middle?
Baez on the team.
Baez and Trey Sweeney, Yankees farmhand, are kind of
But the Tigers have committed to Gleyber at second.
a menage a trois of sorts.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, the Yanks the Yanks could not bring him back. He's the only player they ever publicly benched when everyone could have been benched. And Verdugo was straight up not playing. He didn't get benched. They were openly rude and I have no idea the context. So I'm not trying to, I'm just saying from the surface level, they treated Gleyber different than the rest. I don't know why, but we documented that over the years.
It was very clear how they felt about him the last 3 years.
They tried to trade him a bunch, tried to trade him once, and then he had the worst August in the history of August. Very odd.
Yeah, I get kind of hot about some of the Gleyber stuff because, I don't know. I guess this is the end of the episode, so this is the time to do it. But Gleyber, they bred him to be the next Yankee shortstop. He got the Volpe treatment. That when you see Gleyber's post-game interviews, and again, so much respect for him, trying to do it in English and that kind of thing, which is really hard. But you could see that it was Gleyber not being himself. He was thinking about doing the Yankee thing, and
you and I have always not differed, but not agreed, because I'm very interested. You think he's going to go to the Tigers and be a happy, spunky young player? Right. I think sad sack Gleyber is Gleyber. I don't know though. I'd be interested to see his demeanor and personality on the Tigers. Did he get just drained by the Yankee brass to be this version and be this and this, or is that just kind of who he is? Because it was 6 years straight of a mopey kid.
And the Yankees turn him into that, and now that is who he is.
It made sense that he'd get mopey when he made a mistake when he was 23. That was kind of relatable. And we saw Gleyber for 2 years before that. Gleyber got called up as a kid.
Only guy that got openly screamed out by a teammate. Have some fucking intensity, bro. Now, I know it was Stroman, and people were like, oh, but you look at the numbers also. It's there.
Look at the environment. He came up in the Yankees that didn't run to first in 2019 and that kind of stuff.
Here's the ground ball.
No.
It's a mini adventure.
Always was.
It's not terrible, but just an odd stumble.
It was odd.
Went to his knee, but they got it done.
Is that an 8-7 final there?
8-7 final.
They were up 8-3.
They were up 6-1. Then it became 6-3. Then it became 8-3. And then Clay came in, yeah. Mark Leiter Jr. also. Nathaniel Lowe homered. Carson Kelly homered. It's a bad day to be pitcher, I guess.
Yes.
All right. We'll get back to it. I don't think there's going to be news, so maybe we just got to like start doing like
Start getting
gimmick
into the
shows.
bag.
Got some apps.
No, we got stuff to chat about. Maybe some voicemails or some texts or some comments. Leave a comment. Maybe we'll read it and answer it. Thanks. Goodbye. Go Yanks. Tell them Grams.
Go Yankees.
Jake Cousins. What's he up to?
He's here.
What's he up to?
Cousin got benched.